One of the things I love so much about the Smart Funding Summit is the ability to make connections in this room, but it's also to hear these great stories from entrepreneurs and executives here in our great state of Arizona. Mike was born and raised in Chandler, Arizona. He's the co-founder of lifestyle and apparel brand State 48. Before devoting himself to his company, Mike spent 15 years in the hotel and hospitality industry, but fashion has always been in his bones. In fact, when he was younger, his favorite thing to do was to go back to school shopping. Anybody else? Anybody else? We'll get to that. As an Arizona native, Mike loves everything there is about his home state. So creating a company that allows him to do what he's passionate about while also giving back and being involved in the community he grew up in has been a dream come true. State 48 and the company have collaborated with a ton of local organizations, and his greatest ambition is to make a difference in the world by making strides towards the betterment of his community first. Mike Spagenberg. All right. Just a show of hands, does anybody in the room own a State 48 hat, t-shirt, sticker? Awesome.
That's
got some
amazing.
fans here.
Yeah, thank you.
So Mike and I met, we were at Taliesin West, just up the road, and it was a private event. I was there with my wife, and we were getting a tour of the facility. And if anybody's not been there, you need to go, preferably during a sunset. And I handed my phone to Mike, and I asked him to take a photo of me. And he looked at the back of my phone, and he saw a State 48 sticker. And he asked, you own any State 48? I said, yeah, I own that sticker and a couple shirts. He goes, that's my company. So that's how we broke the ice. And I got to imagine it's like that for you every single day.
It's just amazing. I mean, you're so thankful for, I mean, at the beginning, too, it was only friends and family that were wearing your stuff, and now you see it all over, so it's incredible.
Yeah. And you do a lot of travel outside of the state as well. For business. Give me a story of what surprised you when you've seen your logo, the brand that you created out there in the wild.
Yeah, I think it's just more of like all the stories you hear, especially on social media, how powerful that is now when people are tagging us all over the world at Taj Mahal, and everyone's just kind of, that was the whole goal, right? To represent our home in a positive and fashionable way. And now like people are taking this on trips and really representing where they're from in a cool way. So that's probably like the most incredible thing you see every single day on social media, or people just texting you or whatever it might be. It's incredible to see where the shirts and hats end up.
Cool. So walk us back when you guys started this idea and grew it to a company.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, again, born and raised. If any of you are from here, you know how unique that is. I mean, I remember being in high school and like I felt like I was the odd man out, like rooting for the Cardinals and the Suns, and it just used to drive me nuts. So being a big sports fan, going to Sun Devil Stadium and watching the Cardinals, and as you guys know, if you went to those games, there was not many fans there. But what used to drive me even more nuts is that most of the fans were the opposing fans. So I think that is a beautiful thing about this state is that it's so diverse and transplants. I mean, my family's from New York, but so like you welcome all that, but it was just like there wasn't anything, representing Arizona in a positive, fashionable way. And I'll keep saying that because it was the 3 for $10 Walgreens shirts that used to drive me crazy. Like the shirts that you're going to shrink 2 sizes, and no disrespect, but it was just like, that's not what Arizona's about. And we're cooler than that. There's a reason why so many people live here, and that's why kind of where the passion came from. Again, I always wanted to create something of my own. I always loved clothes. And then it was just crazy how it all came together. I have 2 business partners. My dad was our T-ball coach growing up. Both of them are brothers. Never thought we'd have been in business together. But I was sharing my idea to him, and Steph and I were living together at the time. And no joke, he comes out, because I was writing down names of clothing, a clothing brand for probably a year in a notebook. Nothing ever really made sense or was an aha moment. I vividly remember sitting at my desk at my house. Stefan came out, and this was 8 years ago. And he said State 48. And again, I'm born and raised in Arizona. I'm diehard Arizona fan. And I'm like, what's State 48? And he's like, Arizona's the 48th state. And it was just like that aha moment where it's like, bam, we had it. Immediately submitted for trademark. Stefan's younger brother, Nick, who's our third partner, is a graphic designer, self-taught graphic designer, created our main logo. And then we just went for it. So it's pretty incredible. And we had really no resources. We invested $1,500, and we've sold close to $4 million in T-shirts and hats and lifetime sales. So it's still cool. Still a ton of opportunity to go, but it's pretty fascinating to kind of look back and remember how it all started and the grind and working full-time jobs and not taking a dollar the first couple of years and staggering it to go full-time. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so let's talk about that growth. That's the big topic today, accelerating growth, and we've got different perspectives and different size companies from across the state here today. And I think about you guys. When it comes to branding with Big Yam, we always talk about how a brand's purpose and positioning needs to align to your customers' desires and needs. How did you take that passion and that idea that you had and really develop it and adapt it to your customers' desires and needs here in the state?
Yeah, I think in any business it's important to adapt to what your customer is telling you. But I mean, our message is pretty simple and it's been consistent since day one. And it's clothing for all, inspired by Arizona. It's onesies, it's grandparents, whoever wants to wear our shirts and hats. We're super grateful for. I mean, we're not a typical clothing brand, in my opinion, that is very fashion forward or anything like that. We just want to, sell pride, and it's really easy. We want to support everyone, and that's why it really has evolved in a ton of collaborations. We've done over 100 collaborations this year with different organizations, whether it's Phoenix Children's Hospital, it's sports teams. We're partners with the Diamondbacks, the Suns, nonprofits, breweries, restaurants, you name it. It's just incredible that, with our ultimate goal, wanting to be that recognized brand of Arizona, it's so cool to all these amazing organizations, want to associate with our brand and have co-branded designs and create a revenue stream just off that.
So that's interesting because you guys are much younger than the majority of those brands that you just mentioned. And as those partnerships have evolved, a lot of those brands are piggybacking on you as an extension for them to make money or to benefit their cause. How do you weigh those partnerships as opportunities and prioritize who to work with?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as like you're marketing with a profit. I mean, we've worked with Fiesta Bowl. I mean, again, all these incredible organizations, and how it works is we'll create a co-branded design. Some of those end up on our site where we do a kickback where it's, whether it's a nonprofit or whatnot, or we'll create a co-brand design, we'll sell it to that organization, and they utilize to sell that as a fundraiser. And it's really, it's so much more than just creating money or funds, but it's awareness. Social media is such a, I feel like it gets a bad rap, but I mean, there's so much positivity that you can do with that. And just simply promoting, I mean, we're starting to do a lot of community impact events, and our first one was United Food Bank, and we had just an outpour of volunteers. And I think it goes back to just, we did a co-branded design, we promoted what they're all about, and we had a ton of volunteers come out. So it's just like so many people want to do good things, but you almost have to educate them on, hey, what is this organization about? Where can I go to sign up to volunteer? And so different things like that has been but to answer your question, I mean, we'll work with everyone who wants to work with us.
That's really good. So that's an invitation, okay? But you guys can bum rush Mike during the happy hour and see if there's a potential for your companies to work together. Within the marketing realm, a lot of what you've done has been event-based, very person to person, direct to consumer, obviously online and social media. How have you guys been able to maintain the focus in the different marketing channels that you need to be in without getting distracted and trying to be in other things that might be more expensive or flashier, but not produce a return on investment?
Yeah, and I think for us, it was a lot of trial and error. For example, when we became partners so our first successful collaboration was with Bruce Arians and the Arians Family Foundation and former Cardinals head coach. We raised a ton of money for his foundation. It was also, BA was the coolest coach in NFL, and the Cardinals still had a lot of success, and the Diamondbacks took notice, and we became corporate partners with the Diamondbacks. And for us at that time, it was a huge financial reach to commit to that. I'm so thankful we did that, but it's just, okay, you went through that, okay, let's see what really works, what doesn't work for a return on investment. But I think just always adapting. I mean, we see, at the beginning, we talked about just selling just directly online, your better profit margins, easier to do, but we've seen a major shift with just people wanting that experience and coming into our headquarters and shopping in our Churchill location. I think, the old, the malls, and there's a reason why it's kind of changing, but if you sell that experience and you have that, we love, providing excellent customer service. So I think adapting to that and opening our new headquarters in retail, because the demand was more people wanted to come in and shop and try it on, see how it fits, and then once you do have a customer, hopefully they can then shop online or always come to us. But
so how many retail locations do you guys have?
So our doors is 2. We sell to other retailers in the valley, and then we have a ton of, like I said, collaborations, which is B2B. And like I mentioned earlier, we've done over 100 collaborations with different organizations around the valley just in 2019.
And what are the different products in the catalog?
Yeah, so we keep it simple. T-shirts, hats is really what we started off with. Now we're venturing off to fanny packs, wallets. I mean, different water bottles, coffee mugs. Really, just trying to. The more our brand grows, and the more we listen to customers and what they want, we offer different products. And if it works, we'll keep going with it. If it doesn't, then we'll cut it. So that's one thing that we're smart about, is not trying to do too much at once, but then again, listening to the people that are supporting you.
Mm-hmm. Any products that you haven't gotten into that would excite you that you might see in the future?
I mean, if anyone's here with ADOT, we would love to do a license plate. You know, different things like that, or license deals. I mean, who wouldn't want a State 48 license plate? I mean, there's so many that support great causes, but I mean, we're venturing off to different license deals. Like we have just launched a credit card, co-branded credit card with 1AZ. So things like that. A hat, we work with a hat club where it's a license deal. So really trying to really become that recognized brand of Arizona. We still have a long way to go, but different things like that. Cut and sew eventually, but that's a whole new beast. So just really being smart about what we do, and we're just launching polos, and so we're just trying different things and learning.
So new things on the horizon.
Oh yeah, definitely.
How big is the team right now?
So there's 18 or 15 of us, excuse me, but still only 8 of us are full time. So as you guys know, probably it's very expensive to run a business. So that's one thing, again, we've been smart about, is just trying to grow as we can. But we're really at that point now where we can really have the opportunity to scale. So it's just a matter of being more strategic and having the people that help you.
So in inviting those new relationships, how do you balance the decision between hiring internally or bringing in outside partners, vendors, service providers into the family?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about relationships, and I think that's a huge part of our success. Early on, is finding the people that are almost as passionate as you are, right? Like, for example, at the beginning when you can't afford to pay anyone, and we had my brother's ex-girlfriend doing PR for us on the side, and a photographer, videographer. You don't need every single day, but can really have an additional income, but you're not paying for a full-time position. Sure. I think that was huge. I mean, someone I went to elementary school was our website manager, and you just especially being from here, you develop so many relationships in the valley, and obviously anyone that comes on board has got to be some type of relationship before, and I think that's huge because you really want those people in your corner that are going to fight just as much as you are.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, we do have some time for any questions that anybody would like to ask of Mike out there in the audience. Anybody at all? Sure, up here in the front.
Yeah.
Real quick, did everybody hear the question? Okay, it had to do with social media and the different things you've done to build your tribe.
Yeah, I think consistency is number one. I mean, we usually post at least twice a day, just on the feed, but on the stories, that's very active. On all platforms. I mean, so many times people ask, like, well, what platform do you recommend? And I was like, use all of them, because they're all different. They're all different audiences. Facebook's different than Twitter. I mean, we don't even really post products on Twitter because it's all sports talk, right? Or quick talk. So it's just knowing who your audiences are. Interaction is huge. Like, I personally run our social media, so I think that's important too. I mean, it could be a full-time job, but I think it's important to show your personality and show your, how grateful you are for everyone who even tags you in a post and reposting. And that's what's been a huge part of our marketing plan, is showing these great photos of people that are wearing our stuff around. And then it's incredible to see people like, oh, I'm gonna wear this to Alaska, so then I can get put on the State 48, account, and that's still super humbling. And it's amazing when people say, oh, you just can't thank people enough. But I think just always learning doing different type of videos, questions. I mean, really just utilizing your audience that you have. And getting input, and I mean, that's what better way can you do that? You have an entire audience in front of you. So I think interaction is huge, and just consistency.
Your team all work together, or do you work remotely? And how do you manage your employee internal corporate?
Yeah, it's a good question. So our three designers all work remotely. One's of our obviously is our co-founder, and he's stationed at our Churchill location 3 days a week. So it's a lot of remote, and I think that's the key of that is just communication, having your weekly meetings, and just really being. But I also think giving them freedom to do what they you know love and what they're good at, separate. I think is big. It's worked for us. I mean, it's probably much harder at a larger scale, but obviously we don't even have a ton of space to house everyone, right? But we don't need everyone, there at our place every single day. So, to answer your question, a lot of remote, but again, we're kind of spread between both locations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a famous question. Everyone's like, "What are you going to do outside of Arizona?" I'm like, "I don't care about any of the other states." No, but I think like big picture, like obviously, again, never trying to be get ahead of ourselves, but a franchise play is. I think it is. We do have an interesting model of what works and it being different than a normal. Anyone can make cool designs and sell shirts and hats, but I think it's so genuine and real that we really do want to be involved in our community, and it's proven with these collaborations. I think that's a huge piece of our business. So, big picture, I could definitely see a franchise play if it makes sense, but really just acquiring more customers. I mean, to look at our database and our newsletter and really knowing what's in there and what's out here in Arizona, I think there's so many opportunities. And like I mentioned too, more than just always selling products, like how can we do license deals? How can we do events? We're starting, work on a nonprofit, event, like just community impact events, like really want to just get venture off into everything that can, media, I mean, you name it, that can really, you create a loyal brand. I think you could do a lot.
Two more questions. Let's see. Way in the back.
Yeah, that's a great question. I could talk about a lot of those, but I think first and foremost was the time. I mean, I was managing a hotel the first 2 years in the state 48. Thankfully, I had two other business partners, so I remember working 10 hours at the hotel and then literally living off Red Bull, even though I don't think they gave me any energy, and working until 2 in the morning and doing it all over again. But I absolutely loved the grind, and I love what I was doing. And you see that little success. You celebrate the small wins, and I think um, that was tough, but in limited resources, of course. But most importantly, our biggest challenge was three equal business partners. I'm sure people can relate to that, and two of them being brothers. So you have that, interesting dynamic. And at the beginning, we're younger. It was so much about like what we want to do, and we weren't listening so much to. We're prideful guys, So it's like, no, this is how I think I should do it. But then when we really, grew up a little bit, matured, and really just always focused on what sells, what doesn't, listening to our customers, and it's not about us, it's about them. I think that made things a lot easier. So we still have our challenges there, but to be real, like that's a very tough dynamic, is three equal business partners.
One more in the back.
Yeah, this is just a comment. I bought one of those Walgreens t-shirts. It said ski camelback. It had a picture of camelback with a lot of snow. Of course, it's mostly
You still bought that shirt?
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
But that was your only option back then, right? Yeah.
3. Okay. we'll have to get your info and send you some merchandise after the conference. Anybody else? One more question. Sure.
First of all, my compliments. You have cool quality and it represents our state really well. Besides going back to maintaining focus, you wouldn't do State 49. What else wouldn't you do that would take you off your path?
That's great. I mean, again, we wouldn't opposed to doing state 49. It would just be more of like find passionate people in those states to do it, because that's not where ours is. But I mean, really anything. We just love positivity. I guess anything that can get. I know politics or whatnot can get kind of touchy. So depending, like being strategic on some of those partnerships, but we're open to everything. Not to be lame with your question, but I really are open to anything, and really do see an option to kind of do a franchise play. You know, if we really have the capital and the time and the strategy to do that.
Terrific. Well, Mike, thanks so much for the time, for sharing your success in business and in life and what you got going. I'm really excited to see the growth. You going to stick around for a little bit?
Oh yeah, of course.
All right, so Mike will be around, and you guys can catch up with him during the break. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.